Hi guys and welcome. Today I'm going to be reviewing the brand new Victoria Beckham Beauty The Foundation Drops. I'm going to show it to you under these lights, the studio lights, and also in natural light as well. I haven't tried this yet. It arrived in the mail yesterday, so this is going to be a first impression video. But as well as showing you under the different lighting, I also hope to do a check-in later in during the day. So this is the packaging that it comes in, the standard Victoria Beckham Beauty packaging, and this is what it looks like. And I'm going to be talking about the packaging a little bit later on. So it is in this beautiful black, and you've got the Victoria Beckham along there, and then you've got that beautiful blue on the lid. It has a screw off lid, and you do have to shake this really well before you use it, and it just comes it's in a dropper form. So those of you that have watched my other videos know that I absolutely love the concealer that she came out with. It is one of my favorites. I just think it's really beautiful. I did have a bit of trouble deciding which shade to get in this. I went back and forth between the shades on the website, but in the end I decided to really go with the shade of the concealer that I have. So this is in the shade number 4 Light. Now this has 30 mils of product. It is made in Italy. It has a shelf life of 12 months from date of opening, and the price of this is $110 US. So I'm just going to hold up the bottle a bit closer so you can take a better look at it. Now this bottle is plastic, and that is what the top of the cap looks like, and you've got the Victoria Beckham logo stamped in the front there in gold. So I've just noted down a few points about this foundation. They say it is skin first foundation, and it has got the ingredients in there, the skincare ingredients, the Skin Cell Rejuvenating from Augustinus Bader with the patented TFC8 in it. They say it is a breathable serum light coverage, but that is buildable. Apparently it's buildable from light to medium, and it's supposed to give a natural feel finish. They also say that this melts into the skin. If it's like the concealer, I'm pretty sure that it will, and it's supposed to give a 12-hour luminous finish. So those of you that are new to my videos, I'm just going to talk a little bit about my skin type. So I am 56 years old, so I have mature skin. I also have oily skin as well. Now at the moment it is the very beginning of spring here in New Zealand, so it's not as cold as it was a couple of weeks ago, but it's not overly warm either. So telling you about my skin type is really important. So with oily skin, it can be oilier more, well for me, in the summertime than in the winter time. Now it is oily all the year round, but I don't produce as many oils in the cooler months as I do, say, in the middle of summer. So today, with it being the beginning of spring, like I was saying, this foundation may work for me today, but it may not work that well in the middle of summer, but we'll see how it feels. Now I've got a feeling this is going to feel like the concealer, and I think it will look really beautiful. I just don't know how it's going to wear with my skin. And the other thing to note is my last step in my skincare is I put on sunscreen, and when I try out a foundation and use a foundation, sunscreen is non-negotiable. So sunscreen can add just a little bit more moisture, and when you've got oily skin, that does build up. And I put on a layer of sunscreen probably about 20 minutes ago before I started this foundation, so I can feel the sunscreen. Well, it doesn't feel like a sunscreen, but I can feel that my skin is lightly moisturized. But as I said, a foundation, it just has to work with my sunscreen, otherwise the foundation is just no good. So before I put this on the back of my hand to show you, I'm going to give this a really good shake, and can hear the little bead in there, so we'll give it a really good shake just to get that all mixed up. Then I'm just going to put a little bit on the back of my hand, and this is what it looks like. Now you can see it is serum like because it is running down my hand. It's not overly runny though. It's taking a little while to make its way down my hand, but that is the consistency of it. And I'll just hold that up a little bit closer so you can take a good look at it. And just before I get started, I am just going to put a headband on just to keep my hair out of the way. Now I'm going to put this on today using the Victoria Beckham brush. I've been using this brush for quite a while now, and I use it for a lot of my foundations. So I'm not sure whether the shade 4 is going to be a little bit too light, but I don't think that's really going to matter too much, because I have a feeling this foundation is probably going to be better for me with my oily skin in the cooler months anyway. So I'm just going to start blending this out. And I will build it up. As they do say, it is light coverage, buildable towards medium. So as I'm putting it on, it does go on really beautifully. It blends out really beautifully as well. But as I go to touch it, it definitely has that serum-like finish. And I will definitely need to powder this foundation down. Now, they said on the description that this melts into the skin, and I would agree with that. It's definitely just melding into my skin. At this stage, it's not emphasizing any lines. But just with this one layer, that is light coverage. But as I said, once I've done the other side, we'll put a little bit more on and see how it builds. Now, just what's left on my brush, I'm just going to tap a little bit of that under my eye and also a little bit over my eyelid as well. The other thing about this is it feels super light on the skin. It just feels like I've put on a very light moisturizer. It feels very similar to a skin tint putting it on. So that is the side that's just been done, and I've still got to do this side yet. So I have quite a big sunspot through here, and it's not covering that, and I didn't think it would, since they say that it has light coverage, but it has evened out my complexion, and it definitely has that luminous finish. But I know with my oily skin, even on a cooler day like it is today, that with my oils, once they start producing and come through this, it'll go from this luminous finish and it will start to look greasy. So I will have to powder this down. But at this stage, I do think it does look really beautiful on the skin. So now I'm just going to put a little bit more on the back of my hand, and we'll do the right side. So with the shade that I got, I possibly could have gone one shade deeper, but I think that this works as well. I don't think it would have mattered. I think there is 19 shades in this range. And I think that you could go one shade either side, pick your shade you want, or go one shade either side. And I think it would work for your skin. Now, this is also a fairly pricey foundation as well. So I am hoping that I will be able to use it. And as I was saying, I absolutely love her concealer that she put out. It's just perfect for under my eyes. So I'm really hoping that this is going to work as well. So again, just what's left on my brush, I'm just going to tap a little bit of this under my eyes as well. And when I put foundation on using a brush, I swipe it on a little bit, but more so I tend to stipple my foundation in. Right, so that's with all of my face done now. And as you can see, I'm just having a look at my monitor, you can see that it definitely has that luminous finish. I think it looks really lovely on the skin, but as I keep saying, I'm definitely going to have to powder this down. What I'm going to do, there's a little bit left on the back of my hand, and I'm just going to pick that up. I might get a little bit more out of the bottle, but I'm just going to put some through here and just see if we can build this up a little bit. So I really like the coverage that it gives, and I don't mind my natural skin coming through. I always think a foundation looks a lot more natural when they're like that. So it has built up slightly through here. It does go light towards medium, but I wouldn't say it is a strong medium. So before I show you this foundation in natural light as well, I'm going to put on some concealer with the concealer pen. And I'm just going to blend that out using a BK Beauty brush. So I won't powder under my eyes just yet either. So this is what the full face of the Victoria Beckham Beauty foundation looks like. It's definitely very luminous, and I can see people with normal to dry skin, when they first put this on, I I think that would just be absolutely perfect for them. But I really want to powder it. When I look at it, I just know that it would end up looking greasy, and I'm just dying to powder it, and I will do that. But first of all, I'm going to go into the lounge and show this to you in natural light. So I'm actually quite lucky with the weather at the moment, because about an hour ago it was raining quite heavily, and now the clouds are starting to go away a little bit, and there is some sun coming through. Now in the lounge area here, there is a lot of natural light. I've got a huge window in front of me, to the left and to the right of me as well. So this is what it looks like in natural light, and I've also brought a small mirror with me as well, just so I can take a closer look with you. So I'm looking at the foundation in a mirror that is more magnified. It looks really good on the skin. It doesn't emphasize any lines or wrinkles, and it definitely melts into the skin just like they say it does. It looks really, really lovely. But of course, and I know I keep on going on about it, but I know for me at this stage, it's just too luminous. And I really love it too, how it makes my complexion look. It is a light towards the medium coverage, and it just evens out the skin tone. And I think it is a very natural looking foundation as well, and it just gives this really healthy glow. And as I'm looking at it now, it does look really lovely, but unfortunately it's going to be too luminous for my skin without powdering it. But I just wanted to show it to you in natural light before I do powder it down. But I think this is going to be a foundation. It's hard to say. I'll let you know and do a check-in later on in the day. But I do think this is a foundation that is going to work. Well, hopefully it's going to work in the cooler months with my oily skin, because I do think that it looks really beautiful on. So now I'm just going to powder under my eyes. I use a Tom Ford powder to do that. And I just powder just by pressing a tiny bit in with my finger. And for the rest of my face, I'll just do one side first, but I really do need to powder this down. I'm going to use the Chanel Natural Finish Loose Powder, because this is the most mattifying one that I have, and I definitely need that for this type of foundation. So I'm just using my Mer brush. I'm not going to put a huge amount of powder on. We'll just start off with a little bit first, and I'm just going to leave it like that. And I'll just see how many times I need to repowder throughout the day. So once I've powdered it down, this looks really, really beautiful. Now this may look a little bit matte to you, but when you have oily skin, once you powdered it down, after about half an hour or an hour, your natural oils still start to come through. And what I hope is that this foundation isn't too much for my oily skin, and the powder will work. So the oils will come through, but it will just prevent the foundation from going from that luminous look to a greasy look. So this is with it powdered, and this is with it unpowdered. So now I'm just going to do the other side. Again, I'm just tapping my brush in. I'm not using a huge amount of powder. And just gently tapping that over. And I do love this powder. Now my skin just feels silky smooth. But I do like the look of the foundation, how it is on my skin. I think it is very skin-like, and also really natural looking as well. So now what I'm going to do off camera, I'm going to put on a full face of makeup, and then I'll be back. So full face of makeup on, and since I was last speaking to you, it's probably been about 45 minutes. As well as putting my makeup, there were a couple of other little things I had to do as well. Now the makeup that I'm wearing, apart from the mascara, everything is Victoria Beckham Beauty. So if you want to see what I'm wearing, it is all listed and linked in the description box below. So at this stage, it is looking absolutely beautiful, and I hope it wears like this throughout the day, because if it does, this is going to be one that I reach for in the cooler months. I still will test it out in the middle of summer, but I have a feeling it probably won't last well on my oily skin. But if you're like me with oily skin and you like changing around your foundations throughout the year, then this could be one that could work really well. I'll let you know in a few hours time when I do a check-in, and I probably would have been wearing it probably for about 6 to 7 hours, maybe a bit longer. I'll see when I can get some time to do that later in the day, but at this stage it is looking absolutely beautiful. Now, at the beginning of the video I did say I want to talk a little bit more about the packaging. The product itself at this stage just looks absolutely gorgeous. When I opened this up, when it arrived in the mail, I was really disappointed. It looks beautiful with the black and the gold and the blue on the lid, but it really doesn't have any weight to it whatsoever. And that is really disappointing, especially at the price point of $110 US. And it costs a lot more for me than that, especially when you convert it to New Zealand dollars. As I said, the product itself is really gorgeous, but I think this is really disappointing. This would have been really beautiful in either a black or a smoky black glass. But then of course you wouldn't be able to squeeze it out because it wouldn't be foundation drops then, and then they would have had to have a pump. But I think that would have been far better, especially at this price point. Now, I have the Victoria Beckham primer. This is a couple of years old. This was gifted to me a couple of years ago, and this is really weighty and it feels really beautiful in the hand as well. It feels like you are holding luxury. Today I'm wearing the Victoria Beckham Beauty, the bronzer. Again, the packaging is weighty and it just feels gorgeous in the hand. The eyeshadow today that I'm wearing is also in really gorgeous, that heavy duty, let me pick it up, that heavy duty packaging, and just feels really beautiful. So when I got this out of the packet, I was very disappointed in the weight. I think for the price point, it could have maybe been still plastic, added some weight to it, or I think it probably should have been in glass and they had it in a pump. I think that would have been far more luxurious, and it still would have been expensive at $110 US, but I would have felt at least I was holding something luxurious as well. On the outside, it does look gorgeous. It's just lacking that weight that I think it needs. But the product itself at this stage, I think it looks really beautiful. It's not settling into any of my lines. It really does just melt into the skin, and it's very flattering on my mature skin as well. So I'll leave you there and do one other check-in later in the day. Now, according to some with my accent, a check-in sounds like a chicken. To me, it sounds completely different. But when I say chicken, I am not saying a chicken at all, but for some reason it does come across that way. But I'll leave you here, and at least I'll get to do, like I was saying, hopefully at least one more check-in. And depending on, it might be 6 or 7 hours after I've filmed this part, but I'll also pin a comment because I won't wash my face until quite late tonight, probably about 10, 10:30 tonight, and I'll pin a comment and also give you my final thoughts there. Hi guys, it is now, just let me double check the time. It is 6:48 p.m. and I finished the video when you last saw me at 11 a.m. So I've nearly been wearing this 8 hours, and I am pleasantly surprised with this foundation. It wears a lot better than I thought it was going to. Now, I have repowdered this foundation, but only once, and that was after about 4 hours wear, and it didn't look overly greasy, but it just started to get a little bit shiny. So that was nearly 4 hours ago that I had to repowder it, but just the once. I really thought I'd have to powder it at least twice, but it's performed really well. But I just want to say again that with my oily skin, and today it hasn't been, it's not really cold, but it's not really warm either. So it's sort of in the middle of the road. So in that way, I think it's not so much of a surprise that it performed so great with my oily skin. But when you first saw it without the powder on, it really did, once I was editing it, because I have edited that part of the video already, and it does look quite shiny, almost greasy. But once I put that Chanel powder on, it really made it look just beautiful, and it's performed really well throughout the day. The other thing, when I was editing the video, I realized that for the first time time in a long time, I actually forgot to put on any primer, and I think I put a subtitle there when I was starting to put on the foundation that it's with no primer, and that's really just because I forgot. Normally I would have put on something like the Chanel mattifying primer, but no primer at all. I just had my sunscreen as the last step in my skincare. I don't know why I forgot to put primer on, but in a way that shows how well this foundation has performed. And if I wore a primer underneath, I'd probably get a bit more longevity out of it. And because of that, I think I may be able to wear this in the warmer weather as well. Maybe not right in the middle of summer without powdering it a lot, but definitely as the weather gets a bit warmer, I think I will still be able to keep wearing this, because if I put a primer on underneath, it's going to just keep my oils at bay just that little bit more, and I'm sure I would get some more longevity out of it. But at this stage, it's looking really good. So I'm just going to pick up a small mirror and magnify it and just having a really good look at it. And it's still not settling into any lines. It still looks really beautiful. I'm just seeing if it's wearing off, probably slightly around here, but it doesn't look patchy in any way. So I'm very impressed with this foundation. So if you have combination to oily skin and you've been wondering about this foundation, then I would recommend it. I don't think it might be one you can wear in those really hot, humid days in the middle of summer, as I was saying, but I think you could get a lot of wear out of this foundation. I do think it is really gorgeous. And of course, those of you with normal to dry skin are going to absolutely love this. I love the way that it looks on my skin. I think it just melds in and it is very skin-like. It is really beautiful. The only thing with this foundation, as I mentioned earlier, is the packaging of it. It's just a shame that it just doesn't have that weight to it. But I think the overall look of it is really beautiful, but it just doesn't feel very heavy in the hand. And I just expected a little bit more from Victoria Beckham Beauty. But overall, I'm very pleased that I purchased this and it performed a lot better than I thought it would. So let me know in the comments below, have you picked up this foundation and what do you think of it? And are you thinking of buying this foundation? And maybe I've changed your mind one way or the other after this video. So that's it for today's video. I would love it if you gave it a like and subscribed, and I will see you next time. Bye.